This is a lot of yarn. Okay. Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Laura's Chronic Life and I'm Laura, and today we're talking about temperature blankets, specifically mine. Now, if you don't know what a temperature blanket is, it is a year-long project that a lot of crocheters do. I think quilters and knitters may also participate, but I'm not 100% sure. I mostly know crocheters who do a temperature blanket, but it is a year-long project where a color is given a designated temperature range, and every day you crochet a line of the color that corresponds to the day's temperature. And so by the end of the year, you have this really colorful blanket, depending on where you live, that kind of gives the spread of the temperatures throughout that year that you made the blanket. There are a lot of ways people will do this. They will take the high temperature of every day, or the low temperature of every day, or the average temperature of every day. Some people, to make the project more manageable, will do a throw blanket, and they tend to do a line a week, or they'll average out the week's temperatures, and they may do it that way. There's lots of different ways to achieve a temperature blanket. If you would like more information on the different ways, I will link a couple of videos below in the description box that I found helpful and that you might find helpful too. Now, I'm doing my temperature blanket a little bit different than your average temperature blanket. I'm not choosing the current year like most people will do. I did a historical year. And so a historical temperature blanket is basically you pick a year that isn't the current year. It has happened already. And it's easy to do this by using a website called the Weather Underground that has a section where they do past temperatures. And so you can just type in the date that you want and it should pop up a temperature for you, what the weather was like that day. And so back in 2022, I think it was October-ish, not that that matters, but it was like late 2022, I really wanted to make a temperature blanket. And I had already thought that with the way that my brain works, I'm not going to be able to keep up with every single day crocheting on the same project. And so I had already decided in 2022 that I was going to make a marriage blanket. And so I picked the year that my husband and I got married. And I'm not just doing the year that we got married, but I'm doing our first year together as a married couple. So my temperature blanket will start on September 24th of 2016 and will go to September 23rd of 2017. And so I got on a little spreadsheet and typed out all the dates and went through the website and got all the high temperatures because that's the easiest. I didn't want to have to do averages and I didn't want to have to do both high and low, so I just chose the high of every day. And so I made a spreadsheet and then picked out a line of yarn and the colors corresponding to a temperature chart that I had made, and decided I was going to do this in 2023 and that was going to be like my project. That didn't happen. And for a lot of different reasons, it didn't happen. But I kept all the information that I gathered. I did end up changing the yarn brand and the colors that I am going to use. Not a whole lot, but I decided to change the yarn brand, which means I had to kind of get a few different colors because they didn't have corresponding colors to the original yarn line that I chose. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to pop up a little graph somewhere on your screen, and it is going to show you the colors and all the information for my temperature blanket. I already told you that the dates were going to be from September 24th, 2016 to September 23rd, 2017. The yarn brand is Lion Brand Respun, and I got the larger skeins, so they have 658 yards. They are a weight 4 according to the label, However, they're on the light end of a 4. I would consider it closer to a 3 myself. I also chose the colors amber for 90 degrees and above, deep denim for 89 to 80, corn silk for 79 to 70, alpine 69 to 60, hazelwood 59 to 50, wine 49 to 40, and silver for 30 and below. I also added parchment to break up the months and to be my beginning and my end. Now, I thought about the type of blanket I wanted to make and decided that I really wanted to make a blanket for our bed. And so I am doing a very large temperature blanket, which is one thing they tell you you probably shouldn't do, but I think I'm motivated enough that I will finish this. Will I finish it in 1 year like a typical temperature blanket? Probably not. And I'm okay with that. I think as long as you know going into something that you're adjusting it, I think it's fine. But because I am making a very large blanket, I had to go measure my bed, and that was a fun process. So I did make a swatch when I first got this yarn to try and figure out, it's the same color as my shirt. Anyway, I might do some close-up shots too later. I did make a swatch to try and calculate how many stitches and how many rows and how big the blanket would be, because I really want it to fit on our bed. We have a king-size bed, and so I took the dimensions of our bed and then made the swatch and tried to come up with an average of what I thought the stitches would be and how long that many rows would end up being. Now, my math was off because when I started my blanket, I would do the foundation row and would go measure it against the bed when I thought that I got there, and I didn't. I, for some reason, had calculated with the swatch that I would only need like 300 or like 280, I think was what I gathered. I think I would only have needed 280 stitches to get to the width of my bed, and when it came right down to it, it needed 400. So, no surprise, my math was off. My math can usually be off. It is usually off. So, I went ahead and measured multiple times and stuck with 400 stitches. It does seem to cover the width of my bed. Now, I'm a little concerned about the length because since my measurements and calculations were off with the width, I wonder how much they're going to be off with the length. So I definitely have measured the swatch multiple times, and I went ahead and just started the blanket, and we're just gonna hope and pray that it covers my bed. So I just realized when making the B-roll shot of the blanket on the bed that it has grown, and so I probably should have just trusted my initial measurements because they might have worked, but because I only had the one strand of chains, it wasn't heavy enough to like drape like it was going to. So this is going to be a massive blanket, which is fine because my husband and I both like to like cuddle, and so this way we won't be stealing each other's blanket. But my initial measurements probably would have worked now that I see how it drapes over the bed currently with more than a chain. But anyway, it is what it is. Now, there are 365 days in a year, and I added monthly breaks and a beginning row and an end row, so my blanket is going to be about 379 rows long and then 400 stitches wide. So I will keep you updated on the length as we go because I'm a little curious to just how long this blanket's going to end up being. But we'll see. If I need to add some extra to the top and bottom to make it work out, we can do that. If it's too long, well, it's just going to be too long. So it'll definitely snuggle us both then. So yeah, the stitch, forgot about that. The stitch that I'm going to use is the wide half double crochet, and the hook that I settled on using is a 6mm. I have my little one right over here. If you don't know what the wide half double crochet is, you can look it up. I will do a close-up of both the swatch and the beginning of my blanket, but essentially you do a half double crochet, and instead of going into the stitch part, you go under the entire stitch and like in between the posts, if that makes sense. Again, I will do a close-up and kind of point it out on the close-up. So this is the wide half double crochet stitch. Now, I'm not a teacher. I don't normally like do tutorials, but I wanted to kind of show the difference of what I meant when I said like it's a half double crochet and that you don't go into the stitch but you go around the posts or in between posts. And so in a crochet stitch, you have this stitch, you have the V-neck, the V on top, let's see, right here, and then from the side you would normally go through and under just the V. But for the wide double crochet, you were going to go underneath the whole stitch and in between the two posts. And so I would yarn over like I would for a normal double crochet and go through the whole stitch, or under the whole stitch, draw up a loop, and go through all three. And so now you see that there's a little hole, whereas normally if I went through just the stitch part, you would see the bar underneath. What I like about the wide half double crochet is that it makes the fabric more bendable and pliable than if you just do regular half double crochets. It makes a very dense fabric, and I feel like this is more of a drapey fabric this way. If you would like progress updates on the temperature blanket, I am considering doing another video like later in the year to show you how far I've come, but I don't know how often I want to do updates. I also thought about doing some short mini updates on YouTube Shorts, but I'm not really comfortable with shorts yet, but we'll get there. But anyway, that is my temperature project that I'm going to do at least in 2024 and most likely also into 2025. But if you have any questions, you can leave them down below. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell because my schedule is a little weird sometimes because of my health. So if you don't want to miss anything, the notification bell will definitely help you. And if you have made a temperature blanket or want to, you can let me know in the comments, or you can tag me at Laura's Chronic Life on Instagram, and I would love to see what you have made or, updates as you make it. And as always, I hope you guys have a really good day, and I will see you next time.